Hi and welcome to Andy with the Spanners. On this episode we're going to be replacing the front disc brakes on this Honda Blackbird. So the first job we've got to do here is to get these pinch bolts slackened off, which is what helps to hold the wheel spindle in position, stops it rotating when you're riding down the road. There's pinch bolts on both fork legs. You leave the far side tight whilst you undo this side, because obviously you want to hold the spindle with the others, then you can get this centre nut undone. No, just slacken those off. They don't need to come out, they just need to be slackened. It's only a pinch bolt, they don't need to come out. And look at that amateur there with his GoPro in the shot. Just as well we're not professional film crews. It just shows you we're just a couple of ordinary guys working in our garage. The sort of stuff that any of you guys can do yourselves. But I'm sure you do a better job of videoing with not having your GoPro in the corner of your shop. Come on, move that GoPro out there. Move it off. That's it, turn it off, move it out to one side. Come on. No, you're making it worse, No, that's in the shot more. So move it out. Move it out. What a plum. Now we've finally got it. So we've got an old extension bar.
That's still quite stiff, that bolt. Yeah, that's still holding on.
We need to take the brake calipers off as well, because the brake calipers will catch on the wheel rim. So that's two 12mm bolts. That's not a 12, that's a 13. So we need a couple of 12s. Probably best to have 1/2 inch 12s from the long rail. Bring it on in, bring it on in. This is what we were missing. We needed a broom. Gotta have a broom. In case we were wondering why this job wasn't going so well, we now know the answer. We didn't have a broom at the start, and that's really important. Go to that side. Just take the two main mount bolts off from the caliper. Where it bolts to the full leg.
Oh, these are range.
I think you've got a different arrangement, haven't you? Because you've got the linked braking system on your side. I don't think we actually undid those before. I think you undid down here and then pivoted it out.
Oh yeah, because that movement brings it on more or less, isn't it?
Yeah, so as it pivots around, as this brake goes on and it pivots around, it pushes this up in. So in order to get it out, you have to take this.
That there must control the wheel,
and that sends the fluid to the rear brake.
Really hanging on, isn't it?
There it goes. In fact, you've got a pad falling out. Okay, so that's the wheel out. And here we're undoing the bolt at the back of the caliper, which is a long, thin bolt that goes through, and that secures the back of the brake pad. The front edge of the brake pads are tucked in to a recess in the caliper, so when you look at your brake pads on this type, you'll see it's got a loop at one end and it's got tabs on the other end that fit into the caliper. So it's just a case of undoing it and then pulling the pin out, as you'll be able to see in a moment. And that's all there is to it, so the pads then drop out. So what sort of shape are those pads in? Not too bad, really.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. But we're putting new discs on, so really when you put a new disc on, you want new pads to go with it. So here we're using a nice long breaker bar to undo these. It's not because they're all that tight, but it does give you a lot of control over the movement, and it's less likely to slip and round it off if you're round off the head of the Allen bolts if you're putting a lot of force on a smaller bar. So that's why we tend to go that way. There we go. And let's cut to. There we go. And some apple pies too. Can't be bad. Right, we'll just spin this off before we get stuck into the apple pies and the tea. There it is. So before we put the new disc on, we just want to give this a bit of a quick clean around. It's a bit fuzzy in the middle. But there we have it. That's looking quite worn actually. And we know that it's warped because of the way that the thing was pulsing. There we go. I think we just need to give this a quick clean round and a little bit of copper grease just here and there just to tidy it up a bit, and that'll do for now. So that's one disc off, let's get the other one off. Let's move that one out of the way, let's get this one over this way a little bit. There we go. To there. And there he is. Definitely looking a bit worse for wear, some pitting in the surface. It's got a definite groove in it. Clean it up and pop some new ones on. Okay, let's pop a bit of Loctite on these screws before they go back in. We don't want any brakes coming loose. Okay, so that's the brake discs on. We've checked the workshop manual, which is always a good thing to do, so you can download that off the internet quite easily. We've checked the workshop manual and it's 20 foot-pounds for each of these, which have all got a bit of Loctite on as well. So now we can go ahead and get the pads in and get this back in the bike. So it's just a case of getting that wheel spindle seated home, and then that centre bolt goes back in, and then it's just really everything that you did earlier on in reverse to put everything back together how it should be. And then that's pretty much the job done, apart from popping the front mudguard back on. And that's taken us from a warped and vibrating disc to some decent brakes once again.